Hello, Wasteland! Yes, welcome back, brothers! That's right, it's Gaslands UK's Car of the Month competition for November 2022, the Rutherford Franken Motors Month. That's right, so this month's competition theme was sponsored by Colin Harvard of our very own admin team, and he wanted to set an absolutely outrageous challenge for you all, which was to make not just a Rutherford, Team Rutherford, the militaristic, tanks and guns and attack helicopters and all that, that sponsor, not just a Rutherford themed build, but a cut-and-shunt themed build. So taking the front end of one car and the back end of another and slamming them together, cutting two completely different vehicles and then bolting them and gluing them and welding them into some horrific monstrosity Frankenstein vehicle of the Wasteland. Love it, absolutely love it. And in his infinite generosity, digging into his pockets, Colin has offered up prizes of, £50 worth of value for first, second and third. We have £25 cash payable via PayPal for first place, £15 for second and £10 for third. Let's jump straight into it and let's talk about everyone who finished. This month we had Adam Pollard, Andrew Ferber, Braden Wachtel, Brett Nugent, Saba Bodnar, Daniel Mumford, Dan Caswell, David Bousset, Edward Krajewski, Fred Ilsley, Hardo Pius, Ingvar Niebsen, James Hall, Keith Ambrose, Keith McAvoy, Matt Morrill, Matt Taylor, Michael Mersey, Nick Kidge, Richard Hubbard, Robert Levers, Travis Usner, Volker Weich, and of course, William Berg. That's right. Oh, what a month, my friend. What a month. 24 finished entrants. My goodness. Be still my beating heart. So who are we going to talk about? So the Wooden Spoon Award for this month goes to Keith Ambrose's entry. Congratulations, Keith. Come on down. So, Keith, why are you getting a wooden spoon? I want to preface this. It's not the build. The build looks fine. We see way worse than this on a regular basis. Keith, it's the photos you've taken. They are so black, they are so dark, that no amount of editing that I have would allow me to magically see the detail in your photos. Like, some of these pictures are so black that when I'm looking at them on the monitor, I can see my reflection in the screen. Mate, you will notice that the majority of us use a plain white background. That's because it's easy. It's the easy option. Plain white or plain black background. But if you're not comfortable photographing on a plain black background, don't do it, because it makes it so much harder. I can't see the back end of your vehicle in some of these photos. It just goes into the shadows. Likewise, some of these, mate, it's just so dark, and I can't give it an honest shake, because at the end of the day, if I can't see something clearly, well, what do you expect me to do? I'm not going to just make it up. I want to be able to see your build to be able to offer solid criticism. But because of how dark these pictures are, this one in particular, mate, that's why you're getting the wooden spoon. It's a lovely build, but you need to focus on that photography, because we can't give it honest criticism without clearer photos. No worries, Keith. Thank you, and I'll see you in December's competition. Yes, so let's start with Braden Wachtel's entry, and what an absolute rock-solid build. Look at this. Look at this beast of the Wasteland. I love it. I love the I love the front end of what looks like Cruella de Vil's Hot Wheels car, and the back end of either a fire engine or an ambulance. The step down from the double doors at the back, That's a really nice bit of moulding. I've not seen that on a car before myself, and that's a real nice look because you've got the twin machine guns on either side. That works really well as a look. I really like that because this is an armored vehicle for laying down cover as the soldiers come out of the back, hot into a war zone. The use of 40k parts, the Sentinel kit and the autocannon, they're a bit big, but at the same time, if you're going for the what is it, the 135 like heavy cannon in the game, like, well, you need a big cannon. That is a big cannon, so of course I do like that. In terms of the paint job, it's rough, it's robust, it's utilitarian. It does the job nicely. There's the faintest wisp of camouflage there, which I do like because couldn't find any space to put camouflage on mine. But you've shown that there is a way of doing it to fit in around all those details while at the same time shining through. Because that it's that wonderful mottled kind of like foliage on trees kind of look. It's really nicely done. Absolutely rock solid entry, Braden Wachtel. And then we have returning heavyweight champion from October's competition, David Bousset's entry. That's right, my goodness, this man has been on a storm this year with his entries. Look at the level of detail that he's managed to achieve in this very, very accurate recreation of the Peacemaker from Fury Road. Oh my goodness, you put some time into this, my friend. I mean, I know you did all the like roll cage work, all the wire work where the driver sat. That's all custom. That's all done by hand with plastic rod. It's insane. But then you look at the bodywork, you look at the changes to the like putting the exhausts on either side of the doors, the searchlight. Oh my goodness, there's just so much going on with this. It really is a rock solid build. But at the same time, I mean, we've seen the Peacemaker, and this is a very pretty one, and it is a cut and shunt build, and I suppose you've cut and shut a very lovely, Camaro with a tank. It's just, I kind of wish to see your sort of flair take on it. At the end of the day, David, I mean, this is the thing. Your work is beautifully executed. I have to find something to pick away at. So individual details. I was like, I think you didn't quite paint the eyeballs on the driver there. It's minus 10 points from Gryffindor. Like, no, it's a rock solid build. I guess like the shotgun shells are a bit big for the scale, Like this is what I have to work with here because it's so nicely done. But yeah, no, I think this concept, but a different vehicle. So keep the tank, keep the Peacemaker look. Just go for, I don't know, like a VW Beetle or something, or or a Citroen C2 or something like that. Just something quirky, something a little bit funny or a bit silly. By far, one of the best Peacemakers we've seen. I think that's out there. By far, bar none. Like, it's really crazy accurate how good this thing is. And vice versa. Right then, go on. Well done, David. And I look forward to seeing what you cook up for us in December's competition. And then, of course, we have Ed Krajewski's entry. And this one, I think people will have just skipped straight past this and gone, oh, the paint job's not, too tidy, but, skip. No, I really like it. This is a solid, like, G.I. Joe Army Man inspired build. Like, this is the thing. I love these rough around the edges style builds because there's a lot. Okay, Ed, yes, there's a lot that you could work on. Like the lettering that you're trying to do by hand. The star is fine, because the star's a nice big flat shape, right? But like the GL Army, like, oh boy, you should have used a stencil or a pen or something like that, because that is rough. The actual conversion, though, I love it. I love the detail here. I love you put a rocket on there with my name on it. Will you guys stop putting missiles with my names on them? So good, Ed. This is the thing. We're getting down to the bottom line here, boys and girls. If you're gonna get Car of the Month, you got to tidy up these edges. The paint job is rough in areas. Just keep pushing yourself. Keep looking at how I can clean up. I get that the tank tracks are meant to look dirty and mucky, yeah, but that looks a little less intended and a little more kind of, oh, it's all right that the paint sort of spilled over somewhere it wasn't meant to. Like, I mean, it still kills me when you guys do 3D printed parts and you can so openly see the layer lines. You need to do something, sand it or use a bit of filler or something to smudge over it, because it's like looking at the stepped pyramids here. You're breaking my heart, Ed. But no, good stuff. Good times. And take that hair off. There's a hair stuck to it. Take that off before you photograph it. And then, hot on the heels of Ed, we have Volker Weig's entry. That's right. My goodness, what a what a contender. Look at this. Now this is what I was talking about, David. It's that quirky, kind of funny, apocalyptic sort of insanity that you want to get when you throw in these sort of goofy, sort of soft body cars like VW Beetles and that kind of silhouette. But then you smash it into something like an Apache attack helicopter and then cover it in guns. A lovely use of parts. A beautiful camo paint job alongside the lights that you've done on top there. Really nicely done. I 100% applaud you, Volker, for using a stencil for the skull at the front, because that is how it is done. If you are not confident in your painting ability, use a stencil or a transfer. That is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. You know, it is a wonderfully executed build. I think it's just touching up some of the line work, like you've gone for the reflection on the driver's screen. However, one brown paint streak does not equal reflection. That's just a black screen with a single splat of grey on it. That does not get. You need to layer that up. You know, get some white in there, mix it. You know, go through layers. You can do it because you did it on the headlights above it. That's what's so infuriating. It's just taking that time. And I know with these competitions, I know the time-sensitive nature of it can drive us nuts. But it's these little details, man. You gotta push yourself. But no, oh, what a build. Now this is Rutherford. This is military right here, boys and girls. Love it. Absolutely love it. Fantastic entry, Volker Weig. And I look forward to seeing what else you come up with in December's Car of the Month competition. And then if we are talking about helicopters, how can we not talk about my boy, Richard Hubbard's entry with this? And I was talking about combining an Abrams with an Apache. Well, here it is, boys and girls. Oh my goodness. Where did Rutherford excavate this monstrosity of the past? I love the gigantic mine-flaying chain steamroller at the front, alongside just absolute brutal carnage of all these rockets and missiles and auto cannons and machine guns and just weapons everywhere. It's lethal, isn't it? But at the same time, you wouldn't want to bump into it, would you? It would just go off. It would just explode. Oh my goodness. What a build, Richard. I think the rust paint job kind of effect at a distance looks really good. When you start getting closer to it, it's a bit mottled. Again, we're seeing the brush strokes rather than the actual effect. But I suppose, okay, to put in perspective, you see the GN007 transfer on the side of that mine-flaying ram, right? Look at the area around it. It's so stark and it stands out so much. Once you put that on, paint over it a little bit or put a wash or something just to merge it into that surface. Because missing that out, and it does stand out like a bit of a sore thumb. At the same time, I know you've really laid it on thick with the Warhammer decals. Mate, the Adapters Mechanicus, it really stands out. It's really obvious what it is. Maybe not the best choice. The numbers and letters, nice generic kind of, transfers. That's fine. That's fine. Skulls, that's fine. But it's when you get in the cogs and the gears and stuff like that, that's when it becomes really enmeshed into that universe, and it's sort of getting away from that. Like the concept is great. It's just execution. at the end of the day, Richard. You've come every single time you've entered this competition. You have pushed yourself, and we are continuing to see that evolution. It's like, okay, you want something to work on? It's nice and simple. You see how you blotted out the driver's kind of cabin in red, the cockpit section entirely in red? Next time, go for a flat tone like a blue, because you don't get much red glass at the end of the day. Okay, it does exist, but go for blue, and then just highlight up some like lights. Highlight up the reflections. That line work will serve you so well in the long run. So take some time and master that. But besides that, fantastic work, Richard. Absolutely brilliant stuff. And then after Richard Hubbard, we have Matt Morrill's entry. Oh yes, with a monster truck / Cadillac. Oh baby. Is it a doubled up Cadillac, or did you cut and split it? I want to say it's two. I think it is two Cadillacs. Now, I've said before that you need to spend more time merging your builds together with attachment points, whether it's cabling or chains or pieces of metal or welds or you name it, and you're doing that. You're finally doing that, my friend, and I'm so happy to see that, because ultimately this is what it's about. It's being able to separate out cars into base recognizable components and merge them together, and you are doing it, and it is elevating your game. At the same time, it would be boring if I just sat here and said lovely things about your work. So congratulations, it's looking really good. However, the paint job isn't doing it for me. It's a bit dry, it's a bit monotone, it's a bit one layer of like a dark beige, and that's it for the sand. Mate, you need to layer that up a bit. It's like those rocket tips. The orange and the green is great, it's very eye-catching, but you see how on the headlights you at least put some lens flare on them. There's something to give it definition. Those rocket tips are just one solid tone. It's just orange, green, splat on, done. But man, what a build, Matt. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic work. I love it. I love the little RC bomb cars. They're the they're the dorkiest things I've ever seen in my life, with the little deedly bop. What are those little doody bop? The little antennae coming out at the top of them with a little ping pong ball stuck to them. Fantastic stuff. What an entry. What a contender. And then after Matt, we have Fred Ilsley's entry. Oh yes, my boy Fred. You went all out for this month, didn't you, man? Oh my goodness, what a beast. What a tank. I love it. I absolutely adore this entry, Fred. It's got hints of the Scorpion tank from Halo. It's got a sprinkling of the Mammoth tanks from the Command & Conquer series. It looks like it could just punch a hole through a wall and keep going. What a build. You must have taken you so long to put this together. And from what I can tell, it's magnetized as well for your convenience. And you kept it so some of the doors open. Oh baby. What a solid entry. What an absolute champion of a build. Because it's that wonderful mix of like 1950s kind of futuristic kind of space age, everything's covered in chrome, everything's looking towards the future, but then it's brought rushing back to reality as a battle tank with those wonderful dual scoops, that almost battleship like prow in the middle, and then that enormous cannon just waiting to just hammer out damage across the wasteland. What a solid build. Love it. Absolutely love it. I would go so far as to say this is better than the work I did this month. My friend, what are you doing to me? It's so good. It's so good. Just look at that. Fred, this is one of those builds I could just look at all day, because it's so nicely done and so well executed. Like, everything just speaks to me. The rust, the patchwork. Just the mix of materials, the fact that some of the body panels are different colours, so it's implied they've been replaced. Yes, this is what it's about. Fantastic build, fantastic stuff, Fred Ilsley. And then we have a newcomer to the competition. That's right, we have Brett Nugent's entry. Oh yes, Brett, let's have a look at what you have shown us today. Now, I know that you're a fellow YouTuber yourself, aren't you? So I'm sure this will be out there on your channel somewhere, but let's just have a look, because one of the things that gets me is this. So it's a Bone Shaker / Hummer build, which is really nice. I feel like the key areas, because there's always room to improve, my friend, always. And I think the key areas for me has got to be the wheels. The wheels are the big one, because there's something about stock Hot Wheels toy cars which, at the end of the day, they're not super detailed. The rims always tend to be massive. The tyres always tend to be really flat and skinny. And they're the kind of things, I can see you've replaced them with those sort of wonderful Matchbox ones, but at the same time, they're just not. But at the same time, there's a lot to love here. I love the use of the sort of checker mesh, like using that around the wheel arches to create like a barbed wire sort of effect, like a real spiky sort of guard. That's good. I'm gonna remember. Oh, that's going into the bag of tricks. That is. I'm gonna remember that, because that as a technique works really nicely. That said, I think you have gone a bit overkill with the mesh, because then to sort of follow that up, not just on the driver's windscreen, but also the passenger side, and then yeah, it's a bit everywhere at that. What a build. Very nicely done. And I'm happy to see you here joining the party, Brett Nugent. And then, of course, let me talk about my own entry. So this was, oh boy, this was an interesting month. I think in a lot of ways, just because cut and shunt as a subject immediately makes you feel like both cars have to be immediately recognizable, otherwise it doesn't work, when the reality is that's not the case at all. It's just taking two cars that are totally different from one another and smashing them together, which is what I did. I wanted to do something sort of conflict desert storm, something very kind of modern day Afghanistan sort of looking, pre the last year, very everything sort of tan, all the sort of desert camouflage sort of patterns and things, which admittedly I didn't manage to pull off here. I just kept it tan and then did lots of scratch work and things like that. But combining like the hot rodder front with the tuk-tuk rear, because that's what it is. It's the back end of a tuk-tuk with a roughly cut truck cabin just sort of stuck over the top of where the driver would sit for that, and then everything else was just detail, like the motorbike on the rear, the Viking axe on the front, which then you paint that yellow because yellow fits in nicely with the tan and the desert themes, but then that yellow draws the eye to the back of the vehicle where the yellow motorcycle is, and it all comes full circle. I think there comes a point with every build where you sort of have to stop gluing things on, because you have to give it space to breathe. You have to give it space for flat surfaces, even flat surfaces which are heavily textured with rust and damage and so on. You still need to have flat surfaces. So there's a temptation to just keep going, just keep sticking grenades and whatever you want all over it, but it has to have that space. But yeah, certainly one of the more fun builds, I'd say. Really enjoyed getting carried away with this and adding all the different details. Yeah, absolutely rock solid month. Loved it. And of course, we should talk about that wonderful man who entered a build which has nothing to do with cut and shunts or this month's theme. That's right, Michael Mersey. So Michael Mersey went back in time to February and made a robot for February's Car of the Month competition, or Robot of the Month competition. Michael, you break my heart. This is nothing to do with this month's theme. I mean, it's great, don't get me wrong. I get the reference. But at the same time, mate, this is nothing to do with this month's theme. You gotta keep it in theme, Michael. You can't just do your own thing and submit it and hope for the best. That's not how this works. It's not a cut and shunt. At the top, the body of a Camaro on a monster truck chassis, that does not count. That's not how that works. And having a Transformer's head and then some details to make it look like the, row row, fight the power, yours is the drill that will pierce the heavens. That's not how this works. But I love it. I love it's immediately recognisable what it is. You just submitted it about 9 months late. Oh dear. But yes, brothers, it is time. It is time. Enough beating around the bush now. It is time to announce the winners. So, without any further ado, boys and girls, let's start the drum roll. That's right, because the winner of Gaslands UK's Car of the Month competition for November 2022 is Volker Vijk. Yes! Yes, well done, Volker. Come on down. I do apologise if I'm mispronouncing your name this whole time. But oh, my friend, congratulations on winning this month's competition. It is not hard to see why, boys and girls. When you think Rutherford, when you think military vehicles of the Wasteland, when you think cut and shunts of what looks like a VW and an Apache attack helicopter, I think there's a bit of an armoured van in there as well. It's a real mishmash. I love it. This is what comes to mind at the end of the day. The execution is fantastic. The concept is brilliant. And just all the little details. I mean, these pictures, they speak for themselves, don't they? I mean, it wasn't hard to pick this one, was it? This was going to be, if not first, this was going to be in the, second or third. But yes, and I love it. I love all the little details. I love, because the thing is, there are 40k parts on here. There are Warhammer parts. The front wheel arches, what connect the sort of side machine guns, the side lasers, those are the couple of sort of little driver bits from Space Marine tanks. The little guy sitting in the tank turret. That's what those bits are. And then the actual lasers themselves, those are off of the Chimera kit. Those are the little las guns that poke out the back. So this is the really nice thing. You've used 40k parts, but it's so well done and it's so well thought out. You would not know to look at it. And that is the sign of a spot-on build where you can take things that we all have access to and you can make something absolutely fantastic. Who here, show me a man who doesn't think that he could make this? Because this is a brilliant build, an absolutely brilliant build. And yes, every single one of us, if we sat down and put our mind to it, we could all make one of these. And that is the sign of a brilliant, brilliant practitioner in this here Wasteland. It's not just making things that make you go, my goodness, that is a work of art. It's making things that every single boy and girl watching at home can go, I can do that too. And you know what? I will do that. So thank you so much for taking part this month, Volker Vijk, and welcome to the Hall of Fame, my friend. A £25, not a gift voucher, it's via PayPal, will be on its way to you from our sponsor, Colin Harvard. And in second place, we have Nick Kitch with his entry. Oh yes. Now this wasn't one that I talked about initially because I knew coming up to the end you gotta save some of the best till last, haven't you? And man, the amount of detail and greebling he's managed to pull off with this is just something to be seen, to be believed, isn't it? Oh my goodness. I love the original source light effect you've done on the glowing green, almost nuclear reactor that you've got going on at the back there. Because the thing is, okay, you get the photo that zooms in on it, but even when you look at a distance, you can see it doing its thing in the background, and it works really nicely. I will say that trying to do a glowing green effect on a green armour, that's pretty difficult, but at the same time, the effect is subtle enough that it's not, too distracting or anything like that. I think for me, it's an absolutely rock solid build. The crazy wire and cabling. Maybe you could have toned that down a little bit, my friend. But overall, a fantastic build. Thank you, Nick Kitch. And check your bank account, as money will be falling from Colin's pockets directly into your bank account. Fantastic. And in third place, we have that absolute scourge of the high seas. That's right, David Bousset's entry. I mean, come on, David. What else is there for us to say? Oh, my friend, congratulations. And I look forward to seeing what you all come up with in December's competition. So, thank you once again, Wasteland. I appreciate it's taken a while to get this one out, but my goodness, November's followed by what? December, Christmas. That's right, boys and girls. So it has been a busy month for us all. But that said, stay tuned, and I will see you all in December's Car of the Month video, the last video of 2022. My goodness, boys and girls. All right, thank you, Wasteland, and goodbye.